Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We will wait another 10-15 minutes for the rest of participants, as due to traffic we still have to wait the rest. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning one more time. I kindly ask you to take your seats and we will start our event, our round table. Yes.
Good morning to everyone. Dear exhibitors and partners, welcome to UITT 2021. We're glad to see you. We have been waiting for this offline meeting more than 1.5 years since our previous autumn international travel show UITM 2019. Over the last 14 months, we have all felt that online events, conferences is a good channel for communication, but online events could not replace offline exhibitions. So live communication, it is the best way to do business. UITT is the largest and the most important travel industry event in Ukraine for spring-summer season. And this year UITT involved more than 150 companies, national tourism boards, embassies, tour operators, hotel chains from 14 countries. It's Albania, Argentina, Bulgaria, Croatia, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Georgia, Lithuania, Montenegro, Poland, Spain, Turkey, Vietnam, and Ukraine. We gather today in this conference room for roundtable discussion with the embassies, national tourism boards, tour operators, our exhibitors, the key market players of travel industry of Ukraine and other countries, to discuss the prospects of the resumption and increasing of tourist flows from Ukraine to other countries and from other countries to Ukraine for nearest summer season. So in order for each participant of this each participant of this roundtable discussion use time as more productively as it could be, we decided to join two panels of roundtable discussion in one part. So if you have two separate speakers for each of two panels of this roundtable discussion, you could choose one speaker or have a speech for each of speaker from your embassy in turn. And after roundtable discussion, we will have short coffee break for 20 minutes here in this room, and then go to review exposition. So welcome to UITT, and I would like to introduce our strategic partner, President of National Tourism Organization of Ukraine, Mr. Ivan Liptuga.
Thank you, Julia. Good morning one more time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be your moderator today, and I'm really happy that finally we have UITT happened, because since March 2020 it was several times postponed, as well as UITM exhibition, and even in 2021 it's a third trial to organize this event. Almost everywhere in the world, all main forums and exhibitions were postponed or cancelled, and I'm sure that this is great success for Ukraine that finally we have it. And even having 14 countries presented on this exhibition and 13 different regions of Ukraine, it's already a success in this complicated and difficult situation what we have now in the world. So today we have, it's the first time that we have such a high-level meeting with embassies, round table with embassies, and I think this is very correct format which organizers of UITT decided to organize. Instead of opening ceremony when we all had to stand and wait for speeches, we have more time now to speak. It was scheduled almost 3 hours. I think we will be shorter, but you are free to speak about 5 to 7 minutes to present the situation in your countries and to present what activities in these pandemic times you do to make sustainable tourism and to save economies and to save the sector of tourism in your countries. All of us in the same situation all over the world. We are regularly take participation in different events, online events and world forums, and we can see and hear that everywhere in the world there are no single solution how to fight against this situation and how to protect our businesses, how to protect our people, and how to restart the industry, which is most important for all of us, as well as tour operators, hoteliers, travel agents, transport companies, and the rest of our sector. So the name of our roundtable is Prospects for Opening the Borders of the Countries participating today in this panel discussion, the tourist season 2021, increasing of tourist flows from Ukraine, preparation for the season, security measures, rules for crossing the border, rules for staying in the country. And after these short speeches from the participants, honorary ambassadors and representatives of embassies and consulates, we also have our tour operators, both outgoing and incoming to Ukraine, who will present their vision of recovery and their future vision of work in 2021 and after. So we will have, all of you have the table with names, so we will go in alphabet order. Before we start speeches from the head of Trade and Economic Mission in the Republic of Bulgaria, Mr. Stefan Safroniev, I would like, before to make a short presentation, to give you the overview of what we have in the situation of tourism on the global level. So as all of you know, that tourism was growing in last 70 years, and we had a growth up from 25 million international arrivals to almost 1.5 billion tourists at the end of 2019. I always showed this graphic in my presentations, giving understanding of how big was growth every year, almost 5, 6, even 8% annually. And you can see on this graphic that from 95 to 2019, the growth was more than 100% and reached almost 1.5 billion international arrivals. You also have to take into consideration that international arrivals are about 9 times less than domestic tourism, and domestic tourism is the main tourism activity for each country on each continent. In 2019, the growth was about 4%, and many countries and continents were not happy with such growth because the previous 2018 and 2017 was about 8% on the annual. And many countries, more than half of countries of the world, expected that growth in 2020 will be bigger than in 2019. Ukraine as country of Eastern Europe, as country in the middle of Europe, situated in the middle of our continent, and European continent receives 51% of all international arrivals, which is more than 700 million, which was more than 700 million a year. And as I said, more than 47% of countries who answered the survey of the World Tourism Organization expected the growth of 2020 more than was in 2019, and nobody expected the COVID which came to us a year ago. So all of us now live in this situation, how you see on this picture, when nobody knows what will be the next and where lockdown will be started and how this situation will be finished in many countries. On this graphic you can see that in comparison with 3 previous years, 17, 18 and 19, we had almost 100% decrease in April and May 2020, which was a bit growth in summer of 2020, and then again decrease at the end of 2020, which continues now. The annual decrease of 2020 was almost 74% on the global level. There were 3 scenarios which presented the World Tourism Organization. They expected minus 58% in positive optimistic scenario, minus 70 in middle scenario, and 78 on the worst, and finally we had 74 in all countries. So if you look on the statistics of Ukrainian arrivals of international arrivals of foreigners to Ukraine, we had before 2013 almost 25 million foreigners arriving to Ukraine, which decreased after the situation happened in 2013-2014 on the east of Ukraine and annexion of Crimea. And this decrease brought us to the level of 12.5 million foreigners coming to Ukraine, and this figure saved until 2019. Last year we had only 3,400,000 foreigners. This is top 5 countries who visited Ukraine last year: Moldova, Belarus, Russian Federation, Poland and Romania. And average foreigners who visit Ukraine, 98% are neighbor countries. So just a few words about National Tourism Organization of Ukraine. This organization was founded in 2016 by the initiative of the Ministry of Economy and the Cabinet of Ministers, where tourism was at that time in the Ministry of Economy. We had a conference of the World Tourism Organization in 2016 here in Kyiv, and it was devoted to destination branding and marketing of destinations. Today, our main activity is to develop regional and local tourism organizations, destination management organizations. We work with oblast administrations and our new decentralized rayons and communities. Today, we have in our plan 25 regional tourism organizations to be established and about 120 local tourism organizations to be established. We also work with industry consolidators, industry associations like will be presented here today, for example, Association of Tour Operators, as well as hoteliers and other industrial consolidators. And we also work with associations who present different types of tourism in Ukraine. So by this, we try to consolidate and to create the ecosystem of tourism in our country and to promote Ukraine as tourism destination for different countries of the world. Today we work with several international partners, USAID Competitive Economy Program, GIZ Program, and European Bank of Reconstruction and Development. Also this year, every year we dedicate to some particular topic, and this year is dedicated to the urban tourism. Our next panel after this roundtable will be about urban tourism, and I kindly invite you to take part in it. So this is a general overview, and now I would like to start our roundtable from your speeches. And first, I would like to invite Mr. Stefan Safroniev, the head of Trade and Economic Mission, to present the situation of Bulgaria, to present the situation in Bulgaria in tourism sector. Krasna. Red.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Very happy to see you at this offline meeting, one of the few, unfortunately. So the situation in Bulgaria is quite similar, like the one is described from Ivan concerning Ukraine. So for the last year, of course, we were mainly witnessing growth, and we were counting mainly on the inside tourism, on the local tourism. Of course, the drop from the incoming tourism from the foreign countries was huge. We can say between 40 and 70%, depending on the country. Of course, the lowest drop was from the neighboring countries, like it is the case in Ukraine. So this would be Greece, Romania, Serbia, Macedonia. But fortunately, the drop from the tourists from Ukraine was also not that huge, because most of the tourists visiting Bulgaria from Ukraine, they are traveling by bus. So they were not that much impacted from the changes in the flight systems. But still, we speak about approximately 50% lower Ukrainian tourists visiting Bulgaria. We hope that, and actually we are pretty sure that this year we will witness a better season, and we are expecting maybe the number of Ukrainians visiting Bulgaria to be comparable to 2019 and 2018, which would mean around 300 to 400,000 Ukrainian tourists. Talking about the situation in Ukraine, in Bulgaria, sorry, we are very delighted and happy that we have this stamp of the World Tourism Organization for a safe destination, safe travel destination. So we are paying lots of efforts to keep this good image, and also among the initiatives that we did lately in order to motivate, to stimulate additionally the incoming tourism, and specifically talking about Ukraine additionally. Now the options for arriving in Bulgaria, they are related to COVID restrictions. The options, they are basically four main options. If before this it was PCR test basically only, now it is PCR test 72 hours before entering Bulgaria. It is a vaccine, a person who got vaccinated. It is the option if someone has passed COVID, has had a positive test for the last half a year, to have a certificate proving this. And the fourth option is 48 hours before arriving in Bulgaria, so lower than the PCR test, 48 hours before arriving to Bulgaria, to have an antigen, the so-called fast test, done in a laboratory. Negative, of course. So shortly, that's it, more or less. And last word, I want to emphasize once again that a proof that Ukraine is one of our top priority partners in the tourism is the fact that we are participating already 26th time in this exhibition, so basically without interruption. And thanks very much for the organizers. I wish good luck to all the participants.
Thank you, Stefan. I would like to invite Her Excellency Mrs. Natasha Diaz Aguilera, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Republic of Cuba to Ukraine. Could you please turn on the microphone? Yes.
Bueno, buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everybody.
Queremos agradecerle a los organizadores de esta feria
We would like to thank the people who organize the organizing committee of this fair,
que a pesar de toda la situación que ha traído la pandemia, han podido
who despite the situation caused by the pandemic,
retomar nuevamente la realización de esta
We're able-
importante feria.
were able to once again hold this important fair for tourism.
Después de más de un año de no asistir a la feria, realmente me siento muy contenta de estar con todos ustedes.
After more than 1 year of not participating in such a fair, I feel very glad to be once more participating with you.
El turismo en Cuba siempre ha sido un turismo seguro en todos los sentidos.
Tourism in Cuba has always been safe in every sense.
Ahora, en condiciones de pandemia, igualmente las medidas tomadas por el gobierno cubano garantizan esta seguridad a los visitantes.
In conditions of pandemic, the Cuban government assures a safe destination for all tourists and visitors to the country.
También tenemos muy buenas noticias para los turistas
We
en un
also
futuro.
have very good news for tourists in the coming future.
En aras de consumir poco tiempo en esta exposición, voy a darle la palabra al encargado de los asuntos consulares de nuestra embajada, Adrián Fuentes.
In order for us to give a short presentation, I now would like to give the floor to the head of consular affairs of our embassy,
Para que explique la situación actual en Cuba en cuanto al recibimiento de los turistas y las buenas perspectivas que se esperan a finales de año.
to explain the situation in which the conditions in which the tourism is working in our country and the perspectives for the upcoming tourist season.
Por favor.
Well, thank you very much once again for allowing us to participate in this important conference for the upcoming tourist season. On March 24, talking about border closure, on March 24, 2020, Cuba completely closed its borders and only a limited number of flights, mainly with humanitarian and commercial purpose, were being held in our country. Cuba reopened all its international airports, but the one located in Havana on October the 9th, 2020. The capital's airport was opened on November the 15th, 2020. The Cuban borders have remained open since. In the foreseeable future and for the upcoming tourist season, Cuban borders are not to be closed, taking into account the beginning of our vaccination campaign, which is actually very important and something we are really looking forward to. Cuba is currently developing 2 of 23 coronavirus vaccines, currently on phase 3 trials in the world, Soberano 02 and Abdala, and has 3 more on the way, Soberano 1, Soberano Plus, and Mambisa. By the end of March, phase 3 trials of Soberano 02 and Abdala began, each involving tens of thousands of adult volunteers in regions with a high number of COVID-19 cases. Soberano 02 is currently being administered in Havana, and Abdala in Santiago de Cuba and Guantanamo, which is the western part of our country. Another 150,000 healthcare workers in Havana are currently receiving Soberano 02 injections as part of an intervention study, which is a study of the vaccination trials, which was authorized after the second phase was concluded and the vaccine was safe to be administered. Another 120,000 healthcare workers in western of Cuba received Abdala as part of these phase 3 trials that concluded on May the 1st. Other intervention studies to be conducted in the capital include vaccinating 1.7 million people in Havana, the majority of the city's adult population. By the end of May 2021, that is, by then, 2 million Cubans will have completed their vaccination process. Assuming these trials are successful, a nationwide vaccination campaign will begin in June. By the end of August 2021, the government expects to have vaccinated 6 million Cubans, that is, more than half of the total population, and have its entire population vaccinated by the end of 2021. Cuba is therefore looking forward to reestablishing tourism by becoming a safe destination, most important, free from coronavirus. In addition, Cuba is reaffirming its position as a popular destination for ecotourism. For the upcoming tourist season, Cuba is focusing mainly on 2 points. The first one, to achieve to become a safe destination free from coronavirus, and the second one, to develop the destination for ecotourism. The island's geographical location, exquisite beaches, lively nightlife, cultural diversity, and authenticity, gastronomic excellence in restaurants, and multiple attractions for recreation give hope for a recovery of the tourism sector in the upcoming season. Cuba foresees an increase of the tourist offer for the upcoming tourist season, mainly in the Varadero area. Sanitary protocols established for the Varadero area will also be applicable for other regions of the country, including the capital, Havana. As for the security protocol, we can say that Varadero is ready to welcome visitors, where a wide range of hotel and extra hotel products are designed to meet the needs of customers. Once arrived at the Varadero airport, each visitor must present a test result, a PCR test result negative, received 72 hours until the arrival to our country. Each visitor will be tested for COVID-19, nevertheless, at the Varadero airport by means of a real-time PCR. Tests will be sent to the Provincial Laboratory of Molecular Biology in Matanzas. At the reserved hotel, the visitor will wear a bracelet identifying that he or she are waiting for test results. The client should receive the result within 24 hours. During this time, the visitor must comply with the established isolation measures, such as wearing a mask and practicing social distancing in the common areas of the hotel. Once received a negative PCR test, the client may use the resort services. If the test is positive, but the client is asymptomatic, he or she will be transferred to a 4-star hotel, hospital hotel. We have such a concept created in Cuba, in Varadero, where each hotel, hospital hotel, has its own staff of nurses and medical specialists, as well as the necessary technical equipment for the recovery of the patients. The doctors will monitor the evolution of the disease until the COVID-19 test is repeated and a negative result is obtained. In case of a positive result but with symptoms, the client will be transferred to a hospital for medical treatment according to the established protocol. Suspected cases of infection and contacts with COVID-19 infected tourists will remain under sanitary supervision in the hotels determined for this purpose. All hotels have a health surveillance team consisting of a doctor, a nurse, and an infectologist, who will be continuously monitoring health without affecting the leisure of the clients. Resorts have a safer and more hygienic tourism certification, which was approved by the Cuban Ministry of Public Health, proof of a strict compliance with all biosecurity protocols. Cuba, as we were establishing previously, is already preparing for the upcoming tourist season. We already have prepared the province of Matanzas. Matanzas offers more than 50 different tours, including the surroundings, Cárdenas, and Ciénaga Zapata. Outside Matanzas, we also have Nicho, Tope de Collantes, and Cayo Largo, which places that were also approved. They also received the safer and more hygienic tourism certification. Other options are encouraged, taking advantage of the opportunities for nature and adventure tourism away from populated areas. City tours of historical and cultural places, attractive nighttime services, and quality gastronomy are also included. In terms of nature and marine opportunities, the various modalities of Seafaring Cayo Largo stand out, a star product in the area that includes swimming with dolphins, scuba diving, snorkeling, as well as sailing, fishing, marine adventures, and jet skiing. In addition to Varadero, Cuba has Cayo Santa Maria on the north coast of Santa Clara, which is also a new developing area, touristic area in the country, with more than 15 4- and 5-star hotels. It is the newest tourist pole, and its beaches are also extraordinary. North of Ciego de Ávila is Cayo Coco, with more than 20 hotels and an international airport on the key itself, which is also very important for the upcoming season, as we are previously establishing. North of Holguín, there is another extraordinary tourist pole where beaches are joined with the mountains, producing beautiful landscapes. In this Cuban region, Ukrainian tourists can enjoy magnificent adventures in the sea and mountains. As you can see, the country is already prepared for the upcoming tourist season, and we are foreseeing to have an increase of the tourist sector, taking into account, most of all, that Cuba is going to be a destination free from coronavirus, which is going to be really important for the next year and the ending of this year. Thank you very much, and you are all welcome to visit our country.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive and detailed presentation of Cuba. Now we know all the types of tourism and all the activities what our tourists may try in your beautiful country. Now I would like to invite the head of the representative office of the Ministry of Tourism of Republic of Cyprus, Mr. Ivan Gorobec.
Okay. Dear honorable guests, dear ambassadors, organizers, dear Mr. President, on the behalf of the Deputy Minister of Tourism, I would like to wish you an interesting and informative roundtable. And I'm excited to express my gratitude and respect to organizers for their professionalism in managing this major event for the Ukrainian travel industry, despite on the challenging times. Cyprus is an island known for its open-air lifestyle, an abundance of personal space, slow rhythm of life, clear air, and stunning beaches. We are waiting for travelers to explore and enjoy our beautiful island once again. The tourism industry is very important for Cyprus, that gains around 20% of GDP. The government of Cyprus is actively working to overcome the crisis and in making every effort to ensure the safety of citizens and tourists. To facilitate travels, to facilitate travel arrangements to Cyprus and ensure the capture of all necessary information required by the health authorities, Cyprus has created Cyprus Flight Pass online portal where a traveler can complete all the necessary formalities quickly and easily and receive its authorization for flight. Cyprus announced that from 1st of April it reopens borders for tourists from 65 countries. During the transition period, which is already started, we implemented a color-coded system harmonized with ECDC that provides travelers with the clear step-by-step rules entering the island and all precautionary measures. All regulations are mentioned in the COVID-19 travel protocol. Currently, Ukraine in the red category of countries, which means that besides filling in the Cyprus flight pass, travelers from Ukraine is obliged to undergo the PCR test 72 hours before the flight, and one PCR test upon arrival. And the result is coming very quickly, within like 3 hours. Also, a vaccination certificate will be accepted as an additional facilitator and will not be required to undergo, and the tourists will be not required to undergo any test to visit Cyprus. To secure our visitors, the Cyprus government committed to take care of all travelers who tested positive while their trip to Cyprus, and the government of Cyprus will cover the cost of lodging, food, drinks, and medicine. Therefore, no restriction of movement, now there is no restrictions of movement except the temporary from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. So the travelers can easily enjoy the beauty of the island. Cyprus government provides maximum support to tour operators, airlines, to develop the tourism between Cyprus and Ukraine. We invest a lot in promotion, marketing, and developing the tourism product. For 2021, we expect good air connectivity between Ukraine and Cyprus, more than 30 flights weekly from 5 major cities. To underline, as mentioned above, Cyprus is fully ready to welcome tourists from Ukraine and ready to provide unforgettable and safe holidays for Ukraine. On my behalf, I would like to wish you a pleasant year and to stay healthy and enjoy every moment of our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gorobec. I would like a little bit to change the schedule of our speeches and to allow the floor to His Excellency Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Ukraine, Mr. Nguyen Hong Chang. Please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate the organizer to organize this meeting, this seminar. I think it is a very in-time event because we have to live with the coronavirus and we have to prepare for the after pandemic development of the tourism. To begin my speech, I want to tell you 3 short stories. The first story happened here in Kiev. Two months ago, I sat for lunch with people from the Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine. And at the table, 3 people told me that they visited the country, visited Vietnam. And they were very impressed about the trip. And they asked me when they can come back to visit the country. And then the topic of the talk at our lunch at that time was tourism to Vietnam and tourism to Ukraine. So that is the first story. The second story is the meeting of ambassadors of Vietnam before we depart the country. You know, as a tradition, we have a meeting with our leaders before we leave, and a group of 30 ambassadors met with one of our leaders, and at the meeting, I was the leader. He's now Speaker of the country, Speaker of Parliament. He stopped at my place and talked very long. And not because it is me, because I'm ambassador to Ukraine. So he told me about his impression about the Ukraine, about the people. So he expressed that he wants to visit the country. So I see that is the second story. The third story is that before I leave, I met with my friends, and everyone wants to visit Ukraine, and even some people make a deposit for the visit. If they don't come, they lose that deposit. So you see, the three stories I tell you tell that the potential of the tourism between Ukraine and Vietnam is very, very big. So about the tourism in Vietnam, I don't talk about how attractive our country, because I think that the video clip we have and so on TV, on movie, maybe tell better than me. But I want to tell you only some figures. Vietnam tourism experienced a peak growth in 2019, welcome more than 18 million international visitors, up 16.2% compared to the year before, 2018, and we served 85 million domestic tourists. The total revenue reached about 22.8 billion US dollars, and contributing to 9.2% of the GDP. So Vietnam is considered as one of the 10 countries with the fastest growth in tourism in the world. It is really impressive when in 2019 the growth of international visitors to Vietnam is much higher than the global average, 3.8%, and the Asia-Pacific region only 4.6%. So our tourism in 2019 was honored in 5 categories of the World Travel Awards, including the world's leading heritage destination for the first time, the world's best golf destination for the first time, the Asia landing destination second consecutive time, and the Asia top cultural destination second consecutive time, the Asia top culinary destination for the first time. So I do not want to read many information but some information I want to give you, so to tell how impressive, how attractive is the country. So my presence here, why we come to our round table, we want to prepare. So here I know that we have prepared for the tourism exchange between Ukraine and Vietnam. And so I invite the tourist companies, the tourist corporation, Ukrainian, to discuss, to visit our stands here in exhibition and to come to our embassy to discuss what we can do. I think one of the difficulties, the most difficult, the biggest difficulties for development of our tourism, exchange tourism, is that we don't have the direct flight. So that's why I think that we need to discuss to organize the charter flights first. And then we want to discuss with the Ukrainian companies, corporation, to discuss how we can manage, how we can plan that for the after pandemic tourism. And to tell that, I also have to use this event to tell you one more difficulty. And then if we cannot solve that difficulty, we cannot promote tourism. Some people in Vietnam, they have visa to Ukraine, and then they will stop at the airport and send back to the country. So, maybe I understand the reason behind, but if we have some problem, we need to discuss to solve, because if we send back the people, we cannot develop our tourism cooperation. So, sure that we will discuss with the proper organization, but we also need to see that reality. So I want to limit my speech and in time, and I wish the conference success. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Definitely we have to discuss, and I may propose from my side that, first of all, we are ready with our partner association of tour operators to organize the presentation of Ukrainian destinations and tour products for Vietnam tour operators who send tourists. We are ready to invite for this meeting also representatives of the border control to check the situations which you described just now, and also the carriers, tour operators who operate charter flights, and we have not too many carriers, and maybe Vietnamese carriers also interested. I'm not in this particular direction now, but we definitely have to organize such a meeting. Thank you. My apologies to our Egyptian colleague for this change of order. I would like to invite the Executive Director of Egyptian Tourism Promotion Board, Mr. Ahmed Yusuf, and you speak, or your colleague as well?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Good morning, everybody. I have written down some notes rather than reading 20 papers of document just to save time. We have been seeing in Egypt a growth year on year for the past 3 years before 2020, between 20 and 30% increase to tourism in Egypt. And actually we had initial indicators that in 2020 we would have got more than 25% increase than 2019. So actually we were going to have a world record, but everything got paused due to the pandemic. We started to prepare ourselves for the reopening after the shutdown of the international travel in March. Hence, we started as a government to prepare what kind of regulations that we need, starting the airliners, the airports, hotel, dining places, all the places, not only in tourism, just to get the country back on track, moving people. The essence of that was, of course, sterilization, disinfecting, social distancing, and just to make sure that our visitors, our people, and the people that are working in tourism are safe and sound. Hence, we developed regulations all across the points that the tourism is passing through. We got the hygiene safety measures certificate, so no one working in tourism will be able to resume working in tourism before making sure the facility is approved according to these regulations. Training was also very important for all the staff working in tourism, and lifting up public awareness all across the country. In addition to that, making sure that we take inspection and quality control seriously more than ever, to make sure that everybody is abiding by the regulations we have been pushing to do. Now, we are, by our own decision, we are only operating with 50% inside the hotels, restaurants, and all touristic areas. In order to visit Egypt, you need to have a valid PCR 72 hours before. If not, we can conduct the PCR test at airports, but you will need to be quarantined inside the hotel for 24 hours until you are cleared. Also, we have facilitated the PCR test if you are going back to your country or traveling outside Egypt in most of airports or even outside hotels. If we discovered a case or something inside a hotel, there are areas inside each hotel used to be quarantined, as also each hotel have doctors and specific people from the Ministry of Health to make sure that everybody is safe. If God forbid, the case is really severe, you will be removed for a government hospital and getting treated All that is done freely, whether through the hotels itself or through the Egyptian government. The status now that we have a very good plan. As you might already know, we are a huge population, more than 100 million people. But the touristic areas like Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, the Red Sea areas, are one of the least population in Egypt, and normally we have very great distance between hotels, and the hotels are anyway very huge, so the social distancing is there. 95% of the staff working in these areas, the Red Sea specifically, are vaccinated already with the first dose, and we are working on the second dose to finish that within the coming few months. Okay, I wouldn't really speak much about the products that we have or the nice weather that we have all across the year. I will invite you, of course, to visit our Egyptian booth to talk about that. I would like to give a very quick hint of the government support to the sector. As one of the most important economical sector in Egypt, the government have supported the sector with lots of financial support, delaying in taxation, utility bills, and so on. In addition of putting some incentives to make sure that we encourage people to come to Egypt, like decreasing removing the visa for a while, the visa to come to Egypt, decreasing the ground handling and landing to Egypt, etc. We also, as Egyptian Tourism Promotion Board, changed the style of marketing communication, using the digital and social media platforms as a main communication medium. Of course, making sure that we deliver the messages to our partners, whether tour operators or airliners abroad, in addition to our consumers and people that used to come to Egypt, to tell them what we have been doing when it comes to the COVID measures. We also have a wide range of marketing tools that are used as a business-to-business, like the flight incentive program, like the co-marketing operations that we are sharing costs with our colleagues in the private sector, whether Egyptian companies or international tour operators. We see that for a while we need to push domestic tourism in countries. It haven't been a big deal actually in Egypt, the domestic traveling, but the shift that happened in 2020, that lots of Egyptians that used to travel abroad are not doing that anymore. So even Egyptians started to discover their own country. So we have seen a dramatic increase in domestic travel, and we will be encouraging that in the short future. Finally, I would like to wish you all the safety and health in the world, and I really wish that to see everybody in our booth, maybe to talk in more details if you have more questions or through the coffee break. Thank you once again for inviting.
Thank you for this great presentation, and definitely Egypt is one of key important markets for Ukrainian tour operators, outgoing. We always want to balance our exchange of tourists between our countries, but we understand that Egypt is one of the leading tourist destinations in the world, attracts Ukrainian tourists by its level of service and prices, and always compete with domestic Ukrainian tourism on the beaches of Black Sea and Azov Sea, for example. So thank you for your presentation. Ms. Anna Staha, you will not add, yeah?
Well, Just I want to add something very quickly. First of all, good morning and thank you for inviting us to the expo, and finally we're having like a sort of offline meeting again here. But just a quick quick addition to what Mr. Yusuf just mentioned, that with regard to the flights, we have already like over 14 flights daily to at least 3 destinations, charter flights to Mars Alam, Hurghada, and Sharm el-Sheikh, in addition to the weekly like twice direct flight between Cairo and Kyiv. So also I think that will be a good addition to the measures we have already taken to boost the tourism between the two countries. So that will be my quick remarks. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay, now I would like to go to Indonesia and would like to invite Minister Counselor on Economic Affairs, Mr. Bhaskara Pradipta.
Good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to say that on behalf of the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia, we would like to say thank you for the opportunity to be here in this roundtable discussions. And I also would like to convey regret from our Ambassador cannot come for today's roundtable. And in this regard, I would like to invite Ms. Lisa, our colleague from Indonesian Embassy. She will start for her presentations about the recent situation on our tourist sector in Indonesia related with our anticipating during the pandemic era. So please, Ms. Lisa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Basuki Pradipta, Mr. Ivan Liptuga, Ms. Julia Zeldak, His Excellency, Her Excellency, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to be able to convey the latest development in Indonesian tourism. As we know that after the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, all the global situation is not really prepared on that situation. Indonesia does declare about having health protocol, using a face mask in public space, outdoor and indoor, social distancing, washing hands, avoiding the crowd, and reducing mobility. In May 22, 2020, the government canceled all domestic flights and banned internal migration, so-called local lockdown. Fortunately, it now has started to resume. But then it was followed with a travel restriction and, of course, limited on visa and stay permit policy in the new normal then initiated. So visitor or visa and temporary stay permit can only be granted for business or working activities and familiar reunions, as well as for humanitarian purposes, not for international tourism, unfortunately. However, the international businessmen who enter Indonesia can get access to visit Indonesian tourist destination as well, with a protocol, of course. And thus, the visa application can only be submitted online using a sponsor in Indonesia via visa@imigrasi.go.id. So, however, the main domestic tourism remains open in Indonesia with a very tight protocol, and now it's open for domestic market. Nowadays, facilities related with tourism sector in main tourist destinations, such as, of course, we know Bali, must implement a strict COVID-19 protocol by applying cleanliness, health, and safety programs, maintaining social distancing, and also applying contact tracing. Fortunately, with the new developments, Indonesia had started the COVID-19 vaccination program on January with 181 million vaccine target. As of May 3rd, 12 million has received the first vaccine and 7 million received the second vaccine. Our government insists that there is no economic recovery without, of course, COVID-19 recovery. And now the possibility for open for tourism is being anticipated, and we hope that it could be started on opening Bali on June, July, or September at the soonest. And also, we have also perhaps have Batam pilot project on September. We do understand that there are demand from Ukrainians who wish to come to Indonesia, especially Bali, and we are planning for a chartered flight. But now, we have emphasis on domestic tourism. Now, preparing the seasons for 2021. The programs we have prepared for so far is familiarization trip sponsored by the government. We also, as I have mentioned, we have chartered flight for Ukraine tourists to Bali, scheduled on December 2021 in cooperation with Bali tour operator and Garuda Indonesia Airlines. We're also introducing beyond Bali destination because we have so many islands, so many places, less crowded and more various scenery, activities, etc. But we do realize that with the new normal, things might never gonna be the same. We now apply post-pandemic safety and security protocol. As I have explained before, we apply a program with cleanliness, health, and safety since the arrival at the airport, hotel accommodation, and tourism destination. Now, we do apply this procedure for anyone who comes to Indonesia. They must be, as I have mentioned before, invited by sponsors, including governments, institutions, or businesses that have already established a travel agreement with Indonesia. The sponsor must apply for the visa online, and before the departure, the travelers must obtain a negative PCR test certificate processed 72 hours before the departure time and present return tickets for the trip. Once they have arrived at the negotiated entry points in Indonesia, travelers must go through a health check and undergo a PCR test, all of which will be performed at their own expense. Until they have obtained the PCR test certificate, travelers must stay at a non-residential, self-funded accommodation. They can proceed with their business travel proposals in Indonesia only when they have presented a negative test result. They also must use non-public transportation or transportation provided by the host or the institution of their sponsor. The government or institution sponsoring the travel is obligated to ensure that the traveler follows all Indonesian health protocols during his or her stay in the country. With this regulation, it doesn't mean that we want to limit, but we just want to ensure the healthy of Indonesian citizens and, of course, the tourists are being taken care of as the priority. And now the progress of these programs that we have been preparing is heavily depending on the COVID-19 recovery. But I must emphasize this, that we stand ready for the nearest charter flight for Ukrainian to Bali this December 2021. I really sincerely wish that we can cooperate to, of course, again, revive tourism industry, not only in Indonesia, but also globally. And I know that tourism will not gonna be the same. There will be new protocols and new, also, we have promoted less touching, more closer destination, basically tighter protocols. This is from me, and again, thank you for the opportunity, and I really would like to extend my appreciation again to the UITT organizer. I hope this event will progress very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're happy to see Indonesia in this exhibition and on this roundtable. It's a great honor to have countries presented from Asia region here, and we hope that you will continue to take part in our next exhibitions as well, and Ukraine will be presented on your events as well. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the third secretary of the Embassy of Kyrgyz Republic, Mr. Ermek Kanibekov.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me express my gratitude to the organizers of this roundtable table. I think this is a very big and brave job in this strange time of the pandemic COVID-19 to organize such an event. Shortly, I would like to inform you about the epidemic situation in the Kyrgyz Republic and the restrictions in the country, and also how the tourists and the foreign citizens can enter to the Kyrgyz Republic. Now we are open for all the countries. What they need the foreigners, only the PCR test made before 72 hours before the coming to the Kyrgyz Republic. But in the inside of the buildings in the Kyrgyz Republic and in the outside in the parks, you have to wear the mask and control the social distance. I would like to inform that we have the electronic visa portal, e-visa, through which the foreign citizens can get the visas to the Kyrgyz Republic. Also, we have the more than 40 countries which can get the touristic visa in the airport. For the citizens of the Ukraine, we have a visa-free regime for the 19 days. And the Kyrgyz Republic is very popular with the mountains and the lake, Isykyl. I think everyone knows this lake. It's infinitely unique in the world. After 4 days, in 15th of May, we will open the summer season in the Isykyl, and I would like also inform that we have the airport in the Isykyl region in the city of Tamchi, and we will accept the charter flights from the other countries with the tourists. Now we are working with the direct flight with the Ukraine. Unfortunately, we don't have, and now we using 2 roads to reach to the Kyrgyz Republic. This is through the Istanbul or through the Kazakhstan, Almaty. We are working in a strong relation with the Ukrainian touristic company Feyeria, which is also begin to sell the travel packages for the tourists, and we hope that if the number of the tourists will increase, we can organize the charter flights. We have already made the agreements with the Ukrainian low-costers like SkyUp and Bees. But now we are work on the direct flight, because this will impact increase the number of the tourists who want to came to the Kyrgyzstan, because without the direct flight, the travel packages is very expensive for the tourists. Yes, as I mentioned before, we have the e-visa portal, electronic visa portal, where the foreign citizens can easily get the visa in 5 days. The foreign citizens can apply, and in the 4 or 5 days they can get the answer about their visas. So we are open for the tourists, and we are welcome everyone to the Kyrgyzstan. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again to the organizers for such roundtable table.
Thank you for your participation in this presentation of Kyrgyz Republic. Now I would like to invite trade representative of the Embassy of Malaysia in Ukraine, Mr. Vitaly Boyka.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, participants and organizers. Speaking of Malaysia, we are mainly in the same regime as Indonesia, as our neighbors. Now the country is closed for foreign tourism at all. We now plan to renew the process of international tourism to Malaysia in March next year. Until the time the international tourism is prohibited, and now we are within the second wave of COVID in the country, even with the domestic movement are limited, and all the citizens have to have special permit issued for 3 or 5 days. Of course, of nearly all the hotel and resorts in Bali, in Langkawi are also closed for international tourists. So we expect in March the situation will be better, and we can invite every one of you to visit beautiful Malaysia, truly Asia. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Mr. Boyka. Now, the next speaker, I would like to invite Her Excellency, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Montenegro to Ukraine, Mrs. Dragica Ponorac.
President, Director, thank you very much for this organization of this event. I think it's very rare to meet like this, and I think each of us is eager finally to start to work normally, particularly us diplomats. Concerning Montenegro, it's important to stress that Montenegro is above all tourist destination in the country. And this is why we are very, very much concerned with the COVID, and we are taking our best, doing our best to go out as soon as possible. Government had undertaken plenty of measures, which is normal as any other touristic country, to keep the substance and just survival. But I think that we can slowly see the light in the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. Situation is still, concerning COVID, bad. But the last days we had 30,000 people vaccinated. Totally we had 120,000 people vaccinated, 30 completely finished, and we hope till the 1st of June, as we are a small country, do as much as possible. If we succeed to vaccinate 30% of the whole population, then, it is going to be much, much better, particularly because we have also population with anti-tela already. In spite of this difficult situation, the last year we had all these COVID measures, and already we had prepared hotels for the last season, and we are going with the same measures. Of course, social distancing, reduced seats in restaurants, in hotels, and we hope if we do succeed to have 60% of the 2019, that we can be much, much better. And normally in the future, of course, nobody is able to plan, but in the future, we hope to succeed to come out of this difficult situation. What I want to stress also is in those difficult times, we are very grateful to Windrose because from the 1st December in the winter time, Windrose opened the regular flight to Podgorica. So this winter, we had unexpectedly very good season in the north part of the country. because for the last few years we've been investing much, much more to the north, which was always, you know, it was always fashion to go to south. It was developed south, seaside. But this year we had some kind of boom concerning the previous years, in spite of COVID, because we had put much to infrastructure. And then with these winter flights, it helped us, you know, to for the first time, and with the snow, which is, you know, some kind of miracle, we had very good winter season. And I hope in the future we will succeed to have this balanced development of Montenegro, not just seaside, but beautiful winter. You'll see we are for the 5th time at this, you know, UETT, and just if you go visit, you'll get all the information about northern part of the country, south part of the country. We have in next period also we have Ukrainian Airlines opening the flights to Montenegro from the May. SkyUp as well will have at least 24 flights per week. Windrose also intends to open flights to Tivat. And we are, myself, you know, I'm traveling with Ukrainian, you know, airlines or SkyUp, and I'm very glad. You know, I'm very glad to have a chance to connect our countries, because this is perhaps the biggest problem, because people would, in spite of COVID, people are a little bit fed up of being closed, depressive, and so on. And I think that tourism will explode after this. But the problem is the connection. So we are very grateful to Ukrainian airliners and companies and tour operators to give this chance, because that's the way to come out. Of course, you know, vaccination as much as possible. Once we do vaccination, it is going to be much better, much easier for tourism. What else I would like also to say, our government is trying to do not only this pure tourism, but also medical tourism. And these days we have discussions about the program of development medical tourism, and I'm very glad to say that thanks to Kiev administration, we had a huge delegation of doctors, experts from this visiting our institute, Simo Milošević, which is a big medical center for medical rehabilitation. And I think that this is one of the directions Montenegro is going to go to future, medical tourism and spa tourism as well, much more than this normally, if I can, ordinary tourism. You know, for time being, it's enough, and then you can ask me the question, of course, and then our National Tourist Organization is presented Budva, Bartu towns here on the stand, so all information about Montenegro. Yes, I forgot the last one. Ukrainians entering Montenegro without any, almost the last whole year, and now no test, you enter freely, no problem. I mean, we are completely open for Ukrainians. It's easy to travel for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From all Ukraine. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I would like to invite a representative of the National Tourism Board of Switzerland Tourism, Head of Commercial Section of the Embassy of Switzerland, Ms. Olena Gut.
Good morning to everybody. Compared to Montenegro, Switzerland is closed for Ukrainian tourism. It's a pity, but it's our reality. Tourism industry for Switzerland is as much important as agriculture for Ukraine, generating around 4.5% of GDP, employing 260,000 people. For sure, COVID situation very much, as a Swiss tourism industry very much suffered during last 12 months, but we are still by our so-called base scenario. As you remember, most European ski resorts, most countries were closed for winter season. Switzerland, as being a non-EU member, said no. We will keep our ski resorts open, and last winter season in Switzerland was more or less okay. Still, with not stable case numbers, with partially open winter facilities, but Swiss citizen was and remains as a main client of Swiss hotels, of Swiss resorts, etc. And the vaccination campaign starts in Switzerland. For the rest of the year, we expect slow start of international travel. For sure, we expect that our so-called main markets will return, such as Germany, France, Benelux, Italy, and UK. We very much hope that starting from summer or autumn, also our main clients from Asia, Middle East, and Americas will also come back. Speaking about the future, as I said, last winter season was more or less okay, with 22% in manus, but our experts very much hope that the next winter season, that in the next winter season we will reach the level of pre-COVID year, the level of the year 2019. It will be hopefully the situation in the mountain resorts. The situation in the cities is just bad. There is no MICE, there are no conferences, all fairs are online. As each tourism board, Switzerland Tourism was trying to develop different slogans to keep attention on Switzerland, to keep our passion to travel. We started with a very simple slogan, dream now, travel later. And now we are using different slogans such as we need vacation, we need Switzerland, we need a city trip, we need Switzerland, we need nature, we need Switzerland. For a few months, Switzerland invited the famous tennis player Roger Federer to be so-called ambassador of Switzerland. And in order to attract attention of all our main markets, if you wish to see a very short, nice video with Roger Federer and Robert De Niro, you can easily find it in YouTube. Grain Tour of Switzerland will remain our main product for all markets. And as I said, if you need a perfect video, if you need a perfect shoot, you need Switzerland. We invite you, once the borders will be open, to come back to Switzerland. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Helena. Truly, Switzerland is a museum country, one of the best examples how to make tourism one of the key sectors. And I was in Switzerland hundreds of times and visited all destinations, and it's one of my favorite countries. And your advertising campaigns, which you do in recent years, inspiring all of us in tourism. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the first Secretary Consul of the Embassy of Republic of Uzbekistan to Ukraine, Mr. Bahadir Ibragimov.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bahadir Ibragimov. I am from Embassy of Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan now open for all countries. For visiting to my country, to need only PCR test 72 hours. most popular for tourists to Uzbekistan, to our countries Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, and Tashkent. Between Tashkent and Kiev, planning this openly direct flight. I hope this year open direct flight between Tashkent and Kiev. Good season for visit to Uzbekistan and from May to June. Sorry for my better English. Welcome to Uzbekistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to invite the Honorary Consul of Ukraine in Albania. Actually, we probably had to give you the floor the first because Albania is on A, but as you are Ukraine to Albania, so you are at the end. And Mr. Bledi Bayaktir, the Honorary Consul of Ukraine to Albania.
Thank you, but I need help. I don't speak very okay. Thank you. Добрый день.
Hello to everyone.
Уважаемые участники этого
Dear participants of the conference and the president.
Что касается туризма в Албании,
As to the tourism in Albania,
для правительства Албании она является одной из самых главнейших сфер, которая играет большую роль в экономике Албании.
Tourism is the main sphere that plays role in Albania.
Албания как страна, которая стремится стать одной из европейских стран.
Albania is aiming to be one of the European countries, the country of the European Union.
Как и всех стран мира,
as the other countries of the world.
Имеет тоже свои, скажем так, заботы и аккуратность в приглашениях туристов в Албании.
Yeah, it also has its own points in attracting tourists to Albania.
Что касается туристов с Украины, которые прилетают и
As to the tourists from Ukraine who come to visit Albania,
уже несколько лет подряд летают чартеры.
We have a charter from Ukraine to Albania.
Даже бы хотел акцентировать внимание о том, что даже в прошлом году, где было все бесполезно нигде не летать, туристы с Украины могли летать на территории Албании. Албания их принимала.
Even the last year when there were problems with coming to other countries, Ukraine had an opportunity to fly to Albania.
Для маленькой страны, которая является Албанией, с населением 3,5 миллиона жителей.
So the Albania has 3.5 million of population. There is a small country.
Если будем смотреть на статистики, особенно не прошлого года, а хотя бы позапрошлого
If
года.
to look to the statistics of not the last year, but a year ago.
Будем сказать, что она принимала в год 7,6 миллионов туристов.
It hosted 6 million of tourists per year.
В основном это туристы, которые приезжают с Европы.
These were mainly tourists from Europe.
И так же самое из стран бывшего
and from the CIS countries.
Некоторые из них это Украина в первую очередь и Беларусь.
So mainly these were Ukrainians and Belarusians.
Что касается в этом году, уже с 25 апреля уже летают чартеры на Албанию.
Starting from April 25, the charter from Ukraine to Albania is operating.
Опять же, во время пандемии туризм не очень легкий.
So it's not quite easy to travel in pandemic times.
Будем сказать, что если будем все вместе стараться аккуратно относиться к, скажем так, к себе, друг другу.
But if we care about ourselves and other people around us,
тогда, ну, жизнь будет продолжаться.
Then the life
Она же
will
не
go on,
останавливается.
so the life doesn't stop.
Я понимаю, что в некоторых европейских государствах есть девиз такой, что мы считаем сегодня, отдыхаем завтра, но а это завтра может быть и не будет.
So some European countries has a point that we wait today, but we'll have some rest tomorrow. But well, we even can't have tomorrow, so we have to live today.
У нас в Албании ситуация по коронавирусу, она очень стабильная.
So the situation with coronavirus in Albania is quite stable.
Вакцинирование идет.
So
имеем очень хороших.
So the vaccination goes on, and we have good figures.
И таким образом, ну, я могу его считать как free corona, страна как free corona, то есть она есть.
It's like we can say that it's a free corona country.
Даже у нас в один день из этих буквально пару дней тому назад у нас был случай, что у нас ни одного заболевающего.
So a couple of days ago, so we had a day that we didn't have any case on this day. So.
Не буду долго занимать время. Приглашаю всех в Албанию.
So welcome to Albania. So there is
есть о чем мечтать.
A lot of places to see and
отдыхать в нем.
Have a rest there.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bayraktari. Okay, now we have all presentations from embassies, and I would like to pass the floor to our tour operators. Today we have with us three companies and one association. I would like to invite first Ms. Tatiana Prokopenko, the director of the tour operator Coral Travel.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First of all, on behalf of all Ukrainian, let's say, customers, clients, I would like to say thank you very much for all countries who opened their boards for Ukrainian visitors. We're really happy, and as a tour operators, we last year did our best to organize a charter flight to these countries, and as a plan of 2021, we also have a lot of positive plans of increasing of our volume. And first of all, this is a traditional summer destination for Ukraine. It's Turkey, Egypt, Bulgaria, Greece, Cyprus. But we also do hope that we will get as soon as possible the positive news from other countries, and our Ukrainian customers will get a chance also to visit that countries. As a tour operators and travel agencies, we, let's say, successfully passed most crisis year of the hospital industry, and 2020, even if we are talking about the winter season was successful. Thank you for Egypt, for Egyptian government, for the minister, and for hotels, because they really supported us. And because of Egypt, Ukrainian tourism, outgoing tourism, let's say, is live now. That's why we are more strong now, because after 2020, I think we can manage all problems. And what we are doing now, we supported our travel agencies to give more knowledges. We changed our system of educational, and we made all seminars, all webinars in digital platform. Plus also we try to give a possibility to our customers to make reservations also online. Don't touch even travel agencies, but to give a chance to all travels to make their reservations. And I would like to wish all of us a successful prosperity season, and to hope that next year it will be more interesting for all of us, and all countries will be open for everybody. Let's say that ordinary tourism and our general problems, what we discussed 2 years ago, it was a very good time for all of us. That's why let's come back, and in 2022 to be, as usual, friendly, open, and healthy.
Thank you, Tatiana. Now I would like to give the floor to Director of Pegas Touristic, Mr. Dmitro Koryakin.
Dear colleagues, dear partners, thank you for this roundtable. Thank you for having me here. I would like to prove Tatiana's words that Ukrainian tourism is still alive. though the recent year and a half has been really a tough challenge for all of us as a part of global tourism. So closed borders, banned destinations, medical requirements, transport limitations, lockdowns, so we could hardly keep our offices working. What else? PCR tests, cancellations, refund claims, what else? No new bookings. So you can hardly imagine any other event that could have been that bad for the industry as we have this COVID pandemic. Maybe like a World War II or something of the kind. It was really a pleasure to hear what the respected representatives of your governments have told us about liberalization of border openings and simplifying the rules for entering countries. We are really delighted to hear it. It's like a light at the end of the tunnel. But I would like to point your attention that such an opening has to be combined with simple, clear, and 2 or 3 line rules for how travelers may enter your countries. I mean, if they will need to pass through 2, 3 tests plus isolation plus some kind of other challenges, then there is nothing of tourism in this case. So it is really good and useful for your local migrational processes, but it has nothing in common with world tourism. And I would like to give an example of Ukraine, if it is not as strange in this situation, which has closed its borders only once last year for 2 weeks, and since then Ukraine is open for the whole world. So they have divided the world into 2 zones, green and red, and depending on from where you're arriving, you either have to go through a PCR test or you don't have to do anything, actually. So it is really a very good example, and please take it, discuss it with your respected governments. And we're always ready to send clients to your countries. It's our job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you excuse me, Maria? We have Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Argentina here, who joined us a bit later, Mrs. Elena Leticia Teresa Mikusinski. Please, floor is yours. Will you speak, or just a few words? Yes. Right button, red. Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, good afternoon. I think it's good morning still. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to participate. Of course, we are very far away. I can't compete with wonderful countries that are so close to Ukraine, but we have a lot of opportunities to offer. First of all, we have KLM, Lufthansa, Turkish Airways, who fly from Europe, from Kiev. A lot of cruise boats that reach the Antarctica, and some sports like polo. I am fond to mention that in 2019, myself with my team, we introduced polo to Ukraine. It was a great event. I suggest in this number there is an article about the different possibilities to visit Argentina. I would really appreciate if the tour operators would start to work a little bit with us. I think we have improved our presence, our tourism to Argentina and Ukraine after I signed the visa-free travel between our countries. So it's quite a big step. We have a huge Ukrainian diaspora in Argentina as well, up to 4 generations, and there's a lot of places that you can visit. Nowadays, we are still closed for non-residents, but I think 2022 will be a great year to launch some tourism from Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. thank you for visiting us. And at the end, but with this presentation, and this is great news that our countries don't need visa to visit each other. Now I would like to invite the last speaker from the side of tour operators. Maria Juchnovets is our strategic partner. Now?
Yes, now. Sorry.
Okay.
I want to congratulate for beautiful woman, Julia Zeldak, for the best work for organized of UITT. It's a good signal for all touristic community and signal for reopening of the tourism market of Ukraine. Thank you, Julia. Thank you a lot for the
Congratulations. Maria Juchnovets is the president of Association of Inbound Tour Operators of Ukraine, which is a new organization established in 2020, but since it was established, we organized many practical and useful events to promote Ukraine in different countries, and Maria also represents the Kyiv Sputnik tour operator. Maria, floor is yours.
Thank you, dear colleagues. First of all, on behalf of the Association of Incoming Tour Operators of Ukraine, I'm much appreciated for the opportunity being here, for your attention to importance of both sides cooperation, I mean inbound and outbound tourism for Ukraine. Of course, as travelers, as tourism sector, we expect when Ukrainian tourists will discover more and more countries and will travel more, but at the same time, as incoming tour operators, we hope for more foreign travelers from all over the world explore our beautiful, unique and amazing country, Ukraine. We're still alive. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Hopefully, the last year I usually start my speeches like this. Yes, we're still alive despite very tough times and difficulties, because as incoming tour operators, we basically have stopped our activities since the beginning of the pandemic. We realized that the borders were closed and the lockdowns and so on. And if to talk about organized traveling, so yes, it was almost on the whole. But we hope, we have a dream, let's say like this. We do a lot of work to improve these occasions and to, when tourism will restart, Ukraine has all chances to become a brand new destination for many countries. Because we understand when this rebirth of traveling will come, many destinations will try to attract tourists with innovations, new ideas and solutions for traveling, new travel products. And believe me, Ukraine is more than ready. With care, with passion, with professionalism, with confidence, we are ready to welcome Ukrainian tourists. And of course, right now, with the limited access of the majority of the offline events we get used to take part in, to present our country, to find new negotiations and new partners, we are much appreciated for opportunities of online events when this year, together with National Tourism Organization of Ukraine and with the support of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and several embassies of Ukraine in the world, we managed to make a presentation of Ukraine as a destination. And we are ready to keep going with this until we finally appear in Berlin, in London, in Singapore, and all other countries we get used to being. So, to sum up, I would like to say again thank you, to tell that Ukraine is beautiful, and we are waiting for tourists from your country, and we have so much new to show you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, we come to the end of our round table. I think it was a great and useful event for all of us. One more time, I would like to thank you for participation in UITT. We had a break of 1.5 years. I hope it will not happen again, and we will continue on a regular basis like it was 26 years before that. And of course we have these challenges, and all countries are in equal situation, and before we have stable vaccination and passes or any other universal documents, we will not resolve this issue on the global level. Tomorrow, today, in our last panel on safety and quality, we will have representative of IATA, who will make presentation of IATA Travel Pass project. If you are interested, I invite you to take part in this event. It will take place in the hall number 17 at 4 o'clock. Before that, at 2 o'clock, we will have urban tourism panel discussion and conference under the umbrella of the World Tourism Cities Federation. I wish you all success during these days in exhibition, to meet a lot of travel agents, to meet tour operators, to promote your countries, and to stay safe and alive. And thank you again for this organization. And one more time, I would like to thank Julia and all the team of the UITT, UITM, Premier Expo organization for their great job. It's not easy to make a stable event during 26 years, 27 actually, we missed the last year. And I'm always proud to be the partner of this event and to support by our meetings, conferences, and so on, and we will continue to do so. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, tour operators. Thank you, ambassadors, consulates, and all who participated today. Thank you.
Now we would like to invite you to a small coffee break, short 20 minutes, and then we will go to review the exposition. Thank you. Welcome to UITT.